Hey everyone, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldi, your host, CEO of P3 Tech Consulting and publisher at Autonomy Global. We are ending the month of September. Can you believe it? Next week is October already, but it's been an incredible month that we've dedicated to the theme of OEM leaders. It's been sponsored by Sage Tech Avionics, and we're very thankful for that. And today, we have an OEM leader you may not have heard of. These guys have been somewhat flying under the radar in Canada, although operating globally and really kicking some serious butt. So we're really super excited to have on Pedram Nowroozi. He is from not just one company, but two. His OEM leader company, if you will, is Nesta Technologies, and then Infinit Drones is the distributor. So Pedram, I have to tell you, first of all, welcome. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And the second thing I wanted to tell you is, we've had companies that bring two people on the show. I'm going to go out on a limb and say for the past 5 years, this is the first time we've had one person that has two companies on the show. So at the same time. So really cool. Excited to dig deep into everything you're doing and to help you get that word out. But before we do, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself, right? Because you're the guy behind these two companies and not everybody knows you. So if you could give us a little bit of background, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in the drone industry a little bit over 19 years, so about 2 decades. It's pretty much the only industry I've been in my whole life. I started at a young age creating systems. Over the years, I've developed various different systems such as gimbals, camera stabilizers, lens stabilization systems. Closer to 2014, we started manufacturing drones and reselling drones. So we've been doing it for quite some time, developed over 200 different systems and have a little bit over 7,000 hours of flight time to date recorded. That's not including flight that I do on personal days. So I've been doing flights my whole life, in love with robotic systems, in love with drones, anything that flies.
Well, that's cool. And you already have some super fan out there. Bobby Sukaki's like, hey, love
Yes.
this guy. Nested makes great platforms. So thanks, Bobby, for chiming in and for joining us today. Yeah, we are super excited to have Pedram on the show. So you've been doing this for a while, and clearly it's a passion. So tell us the origin story. Like, how did Nesta Technologies even start?
Yeah, so the main I guess mission at Nested is we want to make advanced drone and robotic systems practical. We want to make them reliable and most importantly scalable for real world use. We don't just assemble parts; we design, customize, deploy full solutions. That's why we can handle everything from hardware, software. We can develop payloads and support them in-house as well, and all of it happens under one roof. Especially recently with our new move to our bigger facility. We currently are in about a 6,000 square foot facility. We're expanding by another 5,000 square feet in the next 2 months. So we're able to support more of our clients and the products that we're creating. And really what sets us apart from everyone is we have 32 years of combined experience in the drone industry, and that helps us really understand our clients, what their needs are, and really understand the A to Z process of what they're trying to collect, whether it's data, they're trying to do inspection, so that way we can cater the equipment specific to their needs so they got a better ROI.
Okay, a couple things. First of all, you said process, and it reminded me to tell everybody that you're coming to us from Canada.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And so that's where the headquarters is. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that? Like, and also, Pedram, if I recall correctly, because we just did a product release video with you on the Sky Torch in the last 30 days, and you were moving into a bigger facility then, and you're already moving again. Like, this is crazy, this expansion. I've never heard of such a thing. So tell them a little bit about like where you're located and kind of how you operate.
Yeah, for sure. So with our current expansion, we're going to be about 11,000 square feet. We're having all of our engineers, our support staff, admin. We have a 2,000 square foot training center. We have a showroom, and we have an operations center. We're located in Woodbridge, Ontario, and its exact address is 610 Hanlon Road. And basically, the purpose of this move to a bigger facility and the expansion was so that we have everyone under one roof. It allows our process from understanding the client's needs to providing them an end solution and maintenance, kind of like an MRO, maintenance, repairs, operations. We can support them on an ongoing basis. So that was kind of the main purpose of us moving to a bigger facility and expanding here, is so that we can support everyone.
Wow, that's quite incredible. Now, you've got Nested Technologies, which we just covered a little bit, and then Infinit Drones. Now, this is, if you will, the global storefront through which you feed your Nested Technologies development, your innovations. So let's go ahead. Picture paints 1,000 words. I think we have a video. So let's go ahead and roll that. All right, that was great. A lot going on there in that video, Pedram, clearly because you have a lot going on. Now, Infinit Drones, like I said, is the storefront. Now, that building we saw in the video, is that the physical storefront that we were talking about?
Yes, that's correct. So that's our current Infinit Drones office. We're currently, that extra 5,000 square foot that I was mentioning earlier is for our expansion to have Nested Technologies under one roof. So this is our expansion to have everyone under one roof, allows us to support our clients much better.
Okay, so one-stop shop if you're headed to Ontario. But let me ask you this, because I remember when we spoke before the show started, you were telling me you have clients all over the globe. So how else, if people can't physically come to Ontario for some reason, how else can they, tap into everything you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. Best way is to get in contact with us through our email or phone. You can contact me directly, pedram@infinitdrones.com. You could also utilize pedram@nestedtech.ca. And also feel free to give us a call or message us on our info. We also do have our info email is info@infinitdrones.com or info@nestedtech.ca. You could also go on our websites, either one of them, and we do have a contact section that you could utilize to message us directly.
And on the website, because I did check it out, it's pretty thorough. You've got all of your different technologies up there that you are selling, so people can order directly through the site, right?
That's correct. So they could order directly through the site. And if they do need any sort of customizations, we always recommend clients to get in touch with us first so that we can customize it and find out their needs. Best way I could put it is not everyone requires a Ferrari, right? Some people require something, it would be great to give everyone the most expensive equipment we have, but it's just not ideal. It's not practical. So in most cases, we like to take the time to understand our clients' need, make sure they're getting what they require to be able to scale and be able to provide the service or capture the data that they need. And that's kind of the main goal here, is trying to understand the clients and help them grow. The better our clients grow, whether they're a service provider, whether they're an end user or a corporation or a government entity, emergency response, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we provide them with the correct equipment so that they can carry out their work, but also make it a way that they could understand how to use it. And that's kind of the reason why we put everything under one roof. We can carry them from beginning to end, understand the technology that's out there. We can train them, whether it's regulatory or just training on hardware. And we can walk them through the MRO process, the maintenance, repairs, operations, how much overhead they're going to need for that. And then after, ongoing support and repairs if anything comes up. So the full process from pre-sales to post-sales, we've got it covered.
Okay, excellent. Now, in terms of drones and hardware, we're going to walk kind of step by step through a number of your different innovations. We're going to talk about the SkyTorch here in a minute. For those that missed the demo, we'll also throw that link out so everybody can go back and watch it, because it was a great video, really getting in very great detail about this awesome SkyTorch tactical version that you guys put out. But in terms of the drones, like, are you guys making your own drones, or you're selling other people's drones? Like, how does that work?
So under Nested Technologies, we currently have 2 aircrafts that we've developed in-house, and we are selling those. They're very specific to a need. The Titan X8 that's on our website, you'll see, is designed for OGI gas detection. It's got an onboard computer, so you'd see a box come around the plumes that are kind of out there, helps aid the service provider or the technician who's trying to look for those plumes, aids them into finding it a little bit easier. We also do have another aircraft. It's called the Titan, the Hero Alpha. That one is a foldable drone. It's got thermal. It's more of an ISR platform, small, quick deployable ISR platform. So we do it to a small extent, but our main goal really is payloads and accessories to aid our clients. There is a lot of good equipment out there that meet their needs, so that's why we've kind of focused on that. We do also, under the Nested brand, do some white label manufacturing for some other companies as well. And we've been helping them grow. As an example, Sierra Olympic, something that I can't talk about, is the Sierra Olympic payload, OGI gas detection payload for the M350. That was done by us, and the M400, that's also done by us. We create them under other people's brand, which is the reason why I call it white label manufacturing. And that's kind of one of the edges that we have, is we get to help our partners in the industry grow. We get to learn a lot about it as well, and we get to support them as well.
So just the breadth and scope of what you're doing and the market sectors that you're tapping into. So the ONG, the oil and gas crowd, with this drone that you just mentioned. And then when I hear ISR, I think, of course, police, I don't think they call it ISR necessarily. They're calling it like situational awareness or something along these lines, incident awareness and assessment type capability. But ISR is military or defense. So you're covering down pretty much on all of it. What would you say, kind of is your primary market sector that you work with in terms of these technologies we're going to talk about here in a second?
So I'll do a clear breakdown. Our company is kind of split into a 70, 20, 10. So 70% is emergency response and military. That's majority of our clients, which is the reason why the SkyTorch was built as well. You'll see a lot of our technologies that we've built are very geared towards emergency response. The other 20% is oil and gas, and then the other 10% is everything else. So that's kind of our current breakdown. Nonetheless, we are seeing people in various different industries, such as the Sky Clean we're going to talk about in a little bit. That system was designed for, it's not within those 2 segments or verticals. They're more on building maintenance, kind of vertical cleaning and washing windows and whatnot. So we do dabble in other various industries because we know we can help. We have the technology and the know-how to develop something to help them and aid them. But those are kind of our main focus. The company came in specifically focused on emergency response, but we've had along the way other clients and companies requesting things, and that's kind of what led us into other segments.
I love that. When I listen to you, Pedram, I think, and clearly your passion comes through. It's clear that when someone has a problem that they're trying to solve and they come to you, you're like, we can do that. So I can see where the scope and scale of everything you're doing, just because you have such a talented group there that can make, a cleaning mechanism. We're going to get into it. Let's talk about the SkyTorch Tactical. I really want to get into this. But before we do, I do want to give a shout out to Mark Ganung. He is coming to us from Nevada. He's at the Nevada test site in Reno, saying good morning. One of our super fans here pretty much every week, almost without fail. So Mark, thank you for joining in as always. Okay, SkyTorch Tactical. That begs the question that it's a newer iteration of something of an earlier version. So tell us about SkyTorch in general, and then tell us about like this tactical version and how it's different.
Yeah, for sure. I want to kind of talk about how it came to be and where it started. We had a conversation with an emergency response organization. They advised that they had a hard time breaching into a building that someone with a weapon was inside. And we talked about, why don't you deploy a drone in there, a small drone, to go in there and clear out the building so you know what's going on and what you're dealing with. And their issue was, it's really tough. Our pilots can't pilot manual. You really need to be a really good pilot to fly manual, and there's no way to aid them. And also, we can't really see much. It's dark. They go in there, hit the walls, and it's just another recovery tool at that point. You got to recover it. So what ended up happening is I sat down with our engineering team and I said, guys, we got to come up with something. We got to find a solution to make a way for our clients to be able to see in the dark, which is where we started from. So we started various different LEDs, lighting systems, and everything failed. We ended up building our own LED chipset, got that shipped over to us. We outsourced, manufactured it, got it sent over to us. We tested it. It worked phenomenally. We put it on a system. And initially, because I didn't want to put that into an emergency response environment without having it vetted, at that point, you're putting someone at risk. We decided to tackle the inspection market first. So the inspection market, we knew people need lighting. And what we tackled first was under bridge inspections. So we used a small drone with a really bright light on it. It had basically, it's if you go on our website, you'll see it says SkyTorch, and then we have SkyTorch Tactical. So the original SkyTorch sat at the front of the aircraft, and that was so it would aid the individual to be able to see cracks and be able to monitor, take pictures, and do their work. So that's kind of where we started. Then we had clients buy it to do pipe inspections. So a city close by to us is currently using them to do pipe inspections underground and culvert inspections. We got a lot of feedback through that in terms of how it was operating, how it was working, the effects it had on the aircraft. And from there, we decided to create the SkyTorch Tactical. Once the system was vetted, we created a bunch of units, hand them out to emergency response organizations, and said, can you vet it for us now with this new system, which I think would work much better. And once they did, we see videos all the time from our clients of how well it works. You could light up a 3,000 square foot facility as if it's daytime. You can get into a totally dark place with absolutely no light, and it looks like daytime. We actually had a very funny scenario recently. Our client was, or emergency response organization, police in this case, had a issue with an individual with a weapon inside of a building. However, there was a dog in the building, and the person had barricaded themselves in the basement. What they ended up doing is using our system. They turned on the lights. They went into another room. The dog followed. They used our drone. We have a hammerhead you'll see on our website as well under the SkyTorch. It's a hammerhead. You could push the door closed. They went and shelved that drone because they couldn't get out once they kind of locked themselves and barricaded the dog in a room to kind of contain it. They used another drone to go find the individual, which was in the basement, and then they were able to clear the room and get everyone safely out. So when we hear stories like that, it just makes us want to push more. And what makes us happy is we didn't put anyone in harm's way. They can hurt a robot as much as it wants, as much as it hurts my heart to see a drone go down. For us, it's really important that we don't see any human get hurt. And that's really why we love the SkyTorch so much, and we focus so much on it.
Well, I love it too, because not only did it actually prevent the humans from getting harmed, but also the dog.
Yes.
So, and I'm so intrigued that the dog followed the drone. I guess it was just curious. I assume there wasn't like some dinging, like hanging sausage or something from it, like we saw on CNN. Like, I think in the past year that, like, I don't even know why this was featured, but they had some dog and a drone with like some sausage hanging from it or something. The dog just followed the drone.
Yeah, the dog was curious. They flew high enough, took it to a room, and then they smashed the drone into the door, closed it right behind it, contained it, and then the TAC team deployed a second drone to go down in the basement and find the individual.
That is so cool. So SkyTorch original, if you will, was really inspired by the public safety community, but wound up kind of in this bridge inspection, a pipeline, if you will, inspection, underground pipeline inspection arena, just to kind of test it, because the stakes were a lot, let's just call it, lower in terms of, kind of what could happen in those scenarios. It wasn't like a dynamic, God forbid, like hopefully the pipeline isn't a dynamic situation. But once you got that feedback and you iterated, so what, from the first one right to the tactical, you said the first one had the light on the front to focus on, the cracks or, the things that they were inspecting. What did you change on the tactical then before you vetted it with the public safety community, and why did you change it?
Yeah, so I'll explain to why we did that. We actually put the tactical version in the middle of the aircraft. What that allowed us to do is angle it a little bit and get a wider spread. For inspection, you're looking just in front of you to inspect something. However, when you're in a tactical scenario where you're trying to breach a building and see what's going on, you want to have a wider spread so that you could see everything around you. We have a pretty good field of view on some of these smaller aircrafts. You have 120 degrees field of view, so we got to make sure that our lighting system can view that as well. It's one of the reasons why we kind of moved it back a bit, to allow us to have a wider spread. Another reason, basically what we did after, is we changed the material. Initially, the material was made with high temperature plastics. We decided to move over to tactical and military grade plastics. It was much more indestructible, and it was also lighter, shockingly lighter. We thought it would be the other way around. We thought the plastic would be denser, it would be a little bit heavier. But if you do look at the lighting structure between the SkyTorch Tactical and our original SkyTorch, you'll see the original was 73 grams, and this one is about 64 grams. So we were able to shave off a little bit of weight off of it just by using a more robust plastic. So it worked out in our favor. It was more robust and also lighter.
Well, and with that savings of, the weight that you're talking about, you're able to add, I guess, the mechanism to help them close the door.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We call it the RAM. A lot of our clients call it the Pedram, but it basically opens and closes doors. We're able to turn on and off lights. There's light switches. We have a little groove on the top of our RAM that you can go and flick a light switch off. So you have lighting inside. And that's basically what we did, is we can now add RAMs. We can add more accessories. The team is currently working on a battery solution as well for those that don't want to integrate directly into an aircraft. And currently our SkyTorch powers directly from the aircraft to save weight. But for those that don't want to do that, they are going to have a downside of losing a little bit of flight time. But at least no wire direct integrations required. You just pop it onto your aircraft and away you go.
First of all, hilarious. The Pedram, I get it. Ha ha ha. Your first name. I love that your clients are so creative.
Very
So, just to be clear with everybody, plug and play in terms of the SkyTorch Tactical with any drone or one specific drone. Can you be clear about that for people, how it works?
Yeah, currently it's designed for the Avata 2, and we specifically chose that equipment because here in Canada, majority of the emergency response tactical units, ASU units, are currently using the Avata 2 and the Avata 1 for breaching buildings. That's the reason why we created it. But we're currently working with various manufacturers to integrate it into their aircraft. So it will look different. It will also look a little bit different in the way that it operates, the way that it will mount on, but the base concept will be the same. The lighting system will be the same. We're just going to change it a little bit to be able to put it on a various different systems. And I do see someone here is asking for IP rating. I'm just gonna it's IP65 rated. So it's you got a drizzle of rain on it and there's no problem. Our LEDs are contained. So that's kind of, yeah.
No, good stuff. That's Fire Mech Tech Rob, by the way. Rob's out in California. I did just get to see him in human form in Las Vegas, a commercial UAV. Always amazing to see my buddy Rob. Fun fact, Pedram, we met on Clubhouse. I used to have that Clubhouse chat room with Maggie Schuster and Sam Scully in there, and Rob. That's kind of how we met, and then we met in person. So it's such a crazy, unique industry. I also want to say we have a fan out, and you've got a lot of fans, my friend. Mata, I think is how you say it, possibly, saying, finally someone who knows what they're talking about and is actually helping the industry. And I would agree. So thank you for that kind comment, Matto. Keep them all coming. We love the positive encouragement. So let's transition from Skytorch, unless regular tactical, unless there's anything else that we missed that you wanted to cover, because I wanted to get into this other mechanism, the Sky Clean.
Yeah. So we could talk a little bit different. I know we're going from emergency response to cleaning, but basically that came about, again, from a client request. All the cleaning systems that are currently on the market, none of them can do more than 22 PSI. It's not good for removal of graffiti. A lot of the work that they want to do, whether it be cleaning buildings or testing pressurization or air leakage in buildings, they needed to do that with a higher PSI. Typically, you need 35,000 or 3,500 rather, or higher. So, you know, our team took the challenge. We love challenges. So the client said, we haven't found one on the market. If you can make it, we'll buy it. So we got into work. Our current system can do up to 4,000 PSI. It does about 100 foot in height. And the main aircraft that it's currently integrated to is the Matrice 400. However, our mounting system is universal. As long as it can lift the weight, we can put it on any other aircraft. And it's very customizable. If you guys look at it on our website, you'll see that it's like a V-mounted bracket on there. So simply take it off and you can put it on a new aircraft. And that's kind of the reason why we built it, is because, again, nothing in the market existed. So what we wanted to do is create something that would create jobs as well, because a lot of people currently don't have a way of testing or doing liquid penetration testing on glass windows. That system doesn't exist right now. Typically, what would happen is you'd have a really bad storm, and then water leaks in. But now we can do active testing. Every 2-3 years, we have the 4,000 PSI system. We can go into glass buildings and spray them with high pressure and see if there's any ingress of water on the inside. And now we can be a little bit more proactive with the maintenance of buildings. And that's kind of where we are with the Sky Clean right now. We're still getting more clients calling us and saying, hey, can you use it for this? Can you use it for that? Someone asked us if we could use it as a fire suppressant. If they put fire suppressant solution in there, can they pump that in there? So we're testing new things with the Sky Clean right now, new solutions with the Sky Clean. So we'll keep updating our website as new abilities are unlocked. But that's basically where the Sky Clean came about.
Okay, well, you know, I never really thought about that use case of pressure testing the windows, if you will, for building maintenance. Really super cool that you can do that. So I don't know if you said this, Pedram, but like how much water does the container hold? And can you give me an example in terms of if I'm washing a window with it, you know, like how long, you know, how many windows can I do on one pass kind of thing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. So the Sky Clean doesn't actually hold the water on the aircraft. It's tethered by a hose, a 100-foot hose on the ground,
Okay.
connected to a pressure washer. So the max amount of pressure that you can have going up the line coming out of the front nozzle is 4,000 PSI. That's just because of the aircraft we're using. If we use a bigger aircraft, we'll be able to have more PSI. Our system is designed for up to 6,500. However, the aircraft can't handle it, so we advertise it as 4,000 psi. And basically, you can pump it right up there. And the good thing is, you could pump solutions right up and have it come out of the nozzle. That's kind of the point of it. We do about, currently with the current system we have, we do about 2.5 gallons per minute of water. And if you do a little bit more sluggish material, so like foaming agents, things like that, you're looking at about 2.3 gallons per minute. And you would basically, we recently, a team of ours did an entire building. It was about 13 stories. They did the entire building approximately half a day. So it was around 4 to 5 hours. They were able to cover the entire building, and that's all 4 sides. So they were super, super efficient. Now imagine doing that twice a day. For a service provider, that could be very lucrative, but also that allows someone to maintain multiple buildings with ease.
Well, and we talked about the safety aspect for the humans in terms of the SkyTorch and the SkyTorch Tactical, especially the Tactical. But when you think about this, I mean, the traditional method, right, Pedram, is like people hanging off of scaffolding off of the building, washing those windows by hand. So just for kind of that comparative, how long, you said this took half a day to do all 4 sides of a 13-story building. Using the traditional method, what would be the comparable?
You're looking at every single section of the building roughly taking about a week. That's including
What?
the time that they would have to set up the scaffolding on the roof. They would
Right.
have to get their permits as well. That's another thing that they'd have to do. I don't know how it works in the US. Here in Canada, you'd have to get permits for it. And then you're hanging around the side. And if it's one person, typically about 1 week. A bigger team could probably do it in a week, all the sides. However, you'd have to get multiple scaffoldings and multiple systems rigs set up. So this is by far much more efficient, and you'd be able to cover more area.
Wow, that I was just at the Commercial Drone Alliance Beyond Visual Line of Sight Stakeholder Summit, and the way they had their little dais set up, there it was at the window was there, and I'm looking out the window, and there's a guy hanging off the other building, and the whole time I'm thinking, why is he not using a drone? And now, if it, fast forward, had it been after talking to you, I would have been like, why is he not using Pedram's technology? Anyway, super dangerous too, of course, besides the time consuming nature. I can't even imagine the type of accidents that can occur hanging off of those things, especially 13 stories up. Good question from FireMech Tech Rob. People are still chiming in the chat here, Pedram. What's the burn time for lighting / charge time, illumination, brilliance, adjustable? Very interested for our team's first responder use. I think that's going back to the SkyTorch, but can you answer that, the burn time?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms, if the LEDs that we have are rated to 10,000 hours. So in most cases, it outlasts the aircraft, especially in tactical scenarios. It typically outlasts the aircraft. Charge time on the battery version, it's going to be released soon, but it's going to be approximately 20 minutes to get a full charge. It's quick swappable, so you could just pop in another battery. As you're changing the aircraft battery, you can change the light battery. If you have it directly connected to the aircraft, so you just replace the aircraft battery and it'll feed everything, which is the way we typically recommend it, because you get a little bit extra flight time as well. And in some scenarios, tactical scenarios, that's really critical. In terms of illumination, it does 3,000 lumens forward and it does 1,800 lumens downward. So if you have a VPS system, a vision positioning system, this would aid it as well, so that your team doesn't have to be an FPV pro to be able to operate these systems. A VPS system, which is a vision positioning system, similar to a GPS system, but it works indoor through visual navigation, would be able to see the ground and be able to maintain itself in one location, so they're not swaying around when they're going in there.
Okay, so FireMech Tech Rob, you guys need to connect offline after the show. Get on Pedram's website. He gave you his contact info, so I know you'll do it. But look, just everybody out there, before we started the show, Pedram was like, hey, I went through kind of the questions you're going to ask me. It only came about 30 minutes. I'm like, oh no, we're going to run out of time. And we are already. See, I told you this would happen.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Sky Vision. And then I want to talk also about your really cool mobile command station. Oh, so Sky Vision is your mobile
It
command
is,
station.
yes, yes. I'll jump into.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
SkyVision,
let's talk about that.
again, it came out from a client's need. They had a mobile command center that they were buying from a competitor. However, they didn't have the requirements that they needed. As an example, they had SIM modules in there. However, the SIM modules were only a single one, and sometimes they didn't operate because of the area that they were operating in. They just didn't have cellular service. So what we did is we created a system that has a lot of redundancies built in. It has two direct HDMI inputs, two wireless HDMI inputs. And it also has three SIM card inputs and a Starlink input as well. I'll kind of backtrack in terms of why we decided to create it in a way where it has multiple HDMI inputs. The idea came from a client where they needed to relieve an officer. We have a switcher in there in our system. Basically, if officer one is piloting, they need to get relieved. Officer two can come into position. You press the button for operator number two, and then all the video switches will switch over to operator number two, and then operator one can come back and get relieved. But they still maintain eyes on. And everyone that was looking at that,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone that was looking at that footage, because the Sky Vision allows you to broadcast to everyone through IP address, RTMP address, or it could be built into their native environment. We basically have all this video shooting out to everyone, and they could see it live. And that would allow them to still see, as soon as you press the number two, it'll switch to the second person, and everyone else will get the second feed. And we also put two HDMI inputs that are direct, that are non-wireless. And that came because I love redundancy. I think I have a passion for redundancy. And I was worried that what if one day the wireless system doesn't work? You know, we've had some scenarios. There's a lot of wireless systems. There's radios in the area. There's a lot of other individuals that would be, such as EMS, fire, they're using their system. So we thought, let's put two direct wired HDMI inputs and SDI inputs there as well. So we technically have four inputs, but typically our clients are using one-on-one, so they can switch over between pilots to relieve pilots. And another really cool aspect of the Sky Vision is its runtime. It's got a 12-hour runtime. And it's perfect for people who forget to charge their system. and everyone has had those days. You show up and you're like, oh, I charged everything. I forgot to charge this one thing. Luckily, the Sky Vision can get charged through your vehicle, and it'll give you a 12-hour runtime. And the charge time to full is approximately 1 hour. So it's about an hour and 3 minutes. We like to just say an hour on average. But that would give you a full charge, and you'd be able to operate it for 12 hours.
Well, and you said it has that Starlink connection. I'll tell you, we were in the middle of nowhere, actually pretty much right over the mountain range from Canada, Pedram. My husband and I went to Glacier National Park and did some hiking, and we got the Starlink Mini as part of the deal, the van that we rented. And man, that thing cooked. I mean, you were able to like communicate with the world in a place where there was, I mean, besides grizzlies, nothing else around. So pretty cool that you guys have that capability too. So amazing. So we've tackled, I think, the kind of three of the main products. You've got so much more. We even talked about your drones, but you have, as you mentioned briefly, and I don't want to really close the show without talking a little bit about your support and your after sales services. Of course, now you've got an amazing like training space too in your facility. So kind of tell us about these other services that you're providing, if you can, like in a nutshell.
For sure. So from a support perspective, training has become a big part for us, which is why we've dedicated approximately 2,000 square feet. The image that you guys are currently seeing is a little bit old. Actually, as of yesterday, we currently, on the outskirts of our training center, we have all the products there. So we're trying to really make it integrated so that the product is inside the training room. It could be learned about. You could use it, touch it, feel it, turn it on, see what the system looks like. We also have an operations center inside of that room as well, which you don't see in the picture because they were all done fairly recently. As we've moved in here, we're doing a lot of updates, and that operations center will allow someone to do a dock operation or a remote operation while the rest of the class is watching. The purpose of that is I'm trying to bring everyone together to share information with each other, learn from each other. The idea here, and this is the reason why I love emergency response so much, is because they get into a room, they tell each other their downfalls, and they tell each other the best moments that they've had. And that's what I cherish the most. And that's what I try to do with the classroom is the team, myself and the team, we're trying to bring everyone together to learn from each other, to really adapt a little bit faster. And I feel like a lot of emergency response or a lot of individuals have been put into very interesting scenarios that if that was shown to others, they would also know how to react and how to be able to take on that issue or whatever they're doing. That's kind of the purpose of that classroom. We're still upgrading it to have more systems in there to allow a camera, as an example, installed so people can view the classroom remotely as well. Not everyone can come to our office. So slowly we are doing upgrades, but that has been a very big, important part of our business. And also our after sales. And a lot of our clients know us for our after sales. We don't allow our clients to ever have downtime. Typically, if their aircraft is damaged, we do a swap. We don't say, okay, call me in a week, we'll get it fixed. We understand that A, they're making money, and B, some of them, it's their life. We need to make sure that they're always having their system up and running. So a lot of our clients will vouch for us that our after sales support is the best, and that's what we make sure that we do. We have repairs that are 24, 48-hour turnaround for all of our government entities and emergency response. In some cases, we'll do a swap, like I said. We'll get their aircraft, we'll give them one, a loaner, we'll get the repairs done, and then we'll do a swap back. And that's really our main goal is never give downtime, make sure everyone has every equipment that they need, they have the correct training, and also make sure that they're supported by us. We want to be an extension of their department, of their organization, not just someone that they come to once in a while for hardware sales. Funny enough, our technicians have memorized every single error code and majority of the products that we carry. So that's the beauty of it. I've been in the industry so long, I know a lot of the error codes for DJI and Autel like the back of my hand because they have been around longer and I've used them a lot. So that's kind of where we come from in our vision here for the industry.
Well, it sounds like you've adopted the culture of the people that you work with, and I'm hearing about essentially the equivalent of a military fighter pilot debrief, in the room with public safety and, this ethos of, the mission first, getting it done. This is what I'm hearing as I'm listening to you. I'm, of course, thinking Air Force right now because I'm sitting in DC and I just was at the AFA Air, Cyber, and Space Conference this week, which, going back to my roots, it was pretty cool, a big reunion. But these things are on my mind, and as I listen to you, the cultures are very similar, and you've clearly adopted this in your company, and that's amazing. So agree back to what Mata said earlier, someone that knows what they're talking about, doing great things for the industry. So thank you for that. And as I knew would happen, Pedram, our time is coming to a close rapidly. We have about 2 minutes left. So I want to make sure in this time that I cede the floor to you so you can tell everybody kind of what's next for you guys in terms of Nest of Technologies, Infinit drones, and of course, we'll close out. We'll have your website up there again, but how people can learn more.
Yeah, for sure. I encourage everyone to get in contact with us. What I always love to do is have people contact us so we can advise them on what's out there. There's not a lot of information online nowadays or false information. So, we always encourage everyone, you don't have to buy from us for us to help you. The drone industry has been tight-knit from the beginning, and it always will be. We all know each other in some way, shape, or form. We've all seen each other in some way, shape, or form. So we like to give back to the industry. Our goal here is not to just keep pushing hardware down people's throat. Is actually to try to induce creativity, induce some sort of a growth. And we do see the industry growing every single day, but we want to be a big part of that to help everyone grow. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. We encourage everyone to get in contact with us. We'd love to hear more from you guys. And one thing I must say is our engineers have not been able to fail at any project. So please give us something that is challenging. We love the challenge. They light up when we come to them and say, hey guys, we have a new challenge. They absolutely light up. Actually, funny enough, I have a flashbang next to me. A client of ours wants to integrate a flashbang into a drone emergency response. So when I brought that into the room, everyone's eyes lit up. We absolutely love it. So we encourage everyone to get in contact with us, and would love to hear more about you guys, your projects, and how we can help and support you guys and support your drone initiatives.
Awesome, awesome. And I realized, Pedram, one thing we failed to talk about was beyond visual line of sight and how you help people with certifications too. So not just the training and the post sales service, all, the whole thing, soup to nuts, happening out there, with Infinit drones and Nesta Technologies. So reach out to Pedram. And of course, if you want to learn more about the Sky Torch Tactical, go back and watch that video. We had Michael Hamilton on the show talking all about it in great detail. It was a really, really good walkthrough. And as always, that is all she wrote, everybody. We are out here.